Nearly 2 decades of hard work has paid off. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement, which was 18 years in the making, has been finalized. India and the European Union concluded negotiations on the landmark FTA on 27th January 2026 at the 16th India-EU Summit in New Delhi. So why is this pact being hailed as the mother of all deals? And who stands to gain what? Let's connect the dots. The pact is being called the mother of all deals because of its scope, ambition, and strategic depth. Listen to the leadership of India and the European Union on it.
आज भारत ने अपने इतिहास का अब तक का सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है। यह एफटीए भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच इन्वेस्टमेंट को बूस्ट करेगा, नई इनोवेशन पार्टनरशिप बनाएगा और वैश्विक स्तर पर सप्लाई चेन को मजबूत करेगा। यानी यह सिर्फ ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट नहीं है, यह साझा समृद्धि का नया ब्लूप्रिंट है।
We did it. We delivered the mother of all deals. We are creating a market of 2 billion people. And this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies. Two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion. A strong message that cooperation is the best answer to global challenges.
So the FTA creates a vast free trade zone that spans nearly 2 billion people, 25% of global GDP, and 1/3 of global trade. Now let's see its negotiation journey. Talks were initially launched in 2007 for a broad-based trade and investment agreement, but there were interruptions. And talks were relaunched in 2022 with renewed political commitment. The deal took almost 18 years, primarily because the EU was tough on several non-trade issues. But the deal got a fillip thanks to the tariff regime unleashed by the Trump administration. It is expected to cheer exporters on both sides, looking to diversify markets and shrug off uncertainty of trade turmoil. Even the United States feels India has come out on top in the deal. With this FTA finalized, EU becomes India's 22nd FTA partner after India secured free trade pacts with the UK, EFTA, UAE, Oman, Australia, Mauritius and New Zealand in recent years.
It creates a market of consumers of almost 2 billion people. It really is quite an accomplishment. And it's been many years in the making. It's been many years that the EU and India have been negotiating. But of late, we've seen an acceleration of these agreements. We've seen the EU complete agreements with Mercosur, for example, after many, many years, and now with India, as it continues to diversify its trading partners and to come to agreement with other countries that share its preference for a rules-based system that's rooted in liberalisation and free trade and exchange.
So who gains what from this FTA? Let's first understand that this FTA covers goods, services, trade remedies, rules of origin, customs facilitation, small and medium enterprises, and digital trade. 99% of Indian exports will now get preferential entry into the EU. Yes, 99%. That's an unprecedented market access for Indian exporters. $75 billion worth of Indian exports are thus poised to take off. And what does the EU gain from the deal? EU gets 96.6% tariff eliminations or reductions on its exports. That means 4 billion euros of annual savings for it.
First and foremost, EU-India Free Trade Agreement is a trade pact whereby India and European Union have agreed to bring tariffs down to zero on more than 90% of the products. So this will have a substantial trade coverage, and hence it qualifies as a free trade agreement under the rules of the WTO.
As far as India goes, $33 billion worth of Indian exports in labor-intensive sectors like textiles, leather, marine products, gems and jewellery will gain immensely from preferential access.
In the labor-intensive sectors, European Union imposes customs duties, commonly called tariffs, which are much higher, around 10 to 12% compared to the average tariff around of 3.5%. So if the tariffs in the labor-intensive sectors are brought down to zero, that will enhance the competitiveness of Indian exports. So we are likely to see an increase in Indian exports in these sectors, which would of course have downstream positive effect in terms of generating employment.
Favorable market access opens doors for India's agricultural and processed food exports. At the same time, India is safeguarding its sensitive agricultural products and its dairy sector where no market access has been given. The FTA will open new opportunities for India's medium, small and micro enterprises. It will create jobs for Indian women, artisans, youth and professionals. As far as the auto sector goes, there is reciprocal market access to propel Make in India. There is also a future-ready mobility framework. This will mean more global opportunities for skilled and semi-skilled Indian professionals. EU has committed to uncapped movement for Indian learners. There will be easier travel and stay in EU for Indian students and professionals. As far as EU exports go, there will be phased reduction in auto duties from 110% to 10%. Duties on auto components will be eliminated over 5 to 10 years. India's small cars that make up the bulk of its market has been protected. EU also gains from cuts on duties for its premium wines from 150% to 20%. Medium-range wines drop to 30%, though there will be no concession for wines that cost less than 2.5 euros. For the EU, there will also be duty cuts or eliminations on exports of its processed foods, machinery, chemicals and pharmaceuticals. So what becomes cheaper for Indians? Luxury cars imported from EU, though not all. Spirits, chocolates and olives, to name a few. So you can say it's a swap. EU's automobiles and wine for India's labor-intensive goods. Meanwhile, carbon tax stays outside the ambit of the FTA. EU has tread with caution on Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism or CBAM. Remember, CBAM is the EU's tool to charge extra fees on high carbon imports like steel, cement and aluminium. India had pushed hard for exemptions as CBAM hits its exports. EU has agreed to offer India concessions if Brussels agrees to make a deviation for another trading partner. EU has also agreed to provide 500 million euros in support to help India reduce emissions. Unlike narrower FTAs, this pact balances openness with safeguards. It sets benchmarks for future deals and aligns with the goal of a developed India by 2047. So what happens now? The agreement now enters into a legal vetting phase to ensure precise alignment across both sides. Now this is expected to take 5 to 6 months. Formal signing will happen after legal review. While India requires government approval, the European Union needs European Parliament consent and member state ratification where applicable. The FTA is projected to enter into force by early 2027 after approvals. Trade liberalisation, though, will be phased over several years. This free trade pact complements UK and EFTA deals that India has entered into. It opens the full European market for India. Projections are that EU goods exports to India will double by 2032 and bilateral trade will scale up substantially. So all in all, the India-EU FTA lays the foundation for an inclusive, resilient and future-ready growth in both India and the EU, while cementing India as a trusted global partner. A massive winter storm swept across the United States, killing nearly 40 people and bringing daily life to a standstill in dozens of states. From the southern plains up to the northeast, snow, ice and bitter cold have knocked out power and left emergency crews scrambling. In some places, people stepped out to enjoy the snow for a moment. But officials warned, don't be fooled, the storm is still dangerous. On the roads, it is chaos. Icy streets and deep drifts make every trip risky. The storm has thrown travel into chaos all over the country. Planes are not taking off, people are stuck, and airports are scrambling just to keep things moving.
In airports, I fly a lot, so in airports there's always delayed flights, or sometimes I don't get the flight that day, I have to fly the next day.
New York City got hit hard. Schools closed, emergency plans kicked in, and shelters opened for those most at risk. City leaders say all the preparation paid off and kept things from getting worse.
Frankly, it will be colder than any sustained period that New York has experienced in about 8 years. But New York, whatever comes for it, this city is ready.
The snow is easing up in some places, but the cold is not letting go. Officials warn it's deadly out there.
This is certainly the coldest weather we've seen, the coldest winter storm we've seen in years. And truly, New York State is locked into a grip here. An Arctic siege has taken over our state and many other states across the nation.
The storm was triggered due to a stretched polar vortex, an Arctic region of cold, low-pressure air that normally forms a relatively compact circular system, sending cold air pouring across North America. Overall, since 1960, more than 700 blizzards have occurred in the US, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. Meteorologists warn with wind chills this low, frostbite can set in minutes. Utility crews are out there but say it'll take more time and the work is dangerous. With temperature dropping, there is real worry for the homeless and the elderly. Cities ramped up outreach, trying to keep people warm and alive.
People are so resilient, people are so capable, but when the temperatures get to the degrees that we're talking about, below freezing and below zero temperatures, there's just almost no amount of resilience that you can have that's going to keep you surviving through that.
As the winter storm approaches, animal shelters across the city are urging residents to open their homes to help protect vulnerable dogs from freezing temperatures and overcrowded conditions.
With the storm coming, there's so many dogs in here, and the dogs are sick or they just are stressed out, and dogs are 5 times more likely to get adopted just being out for a day. So it helps the staff out. It gives a dog a nice warm home for the storm, and you get to make a dog feel a little bit better.
In Tulsa, Oklahoma, a man named Ryan Dewell is spending the weekend driving a more than 40-year-old fire truck around to transport people off the streets.
Come on, let's go hop in the truck. I'm serious. It's warm in the truck.
And into warming shelters as temperatures dipped into dangerous conditions.
Bought this truck from a government auction and we just kind of sat for a while and kind of, you know, decided to do something with it this weekend, feeling the need for helping folks.
Neighbors are extending help and support. Volunteers with four-wheel drives are getting healthcare workers to the job, helping wherever they can. This storm isn't local. It's got the whole country in a deep freeze.
We have lots of firewood already, so just make sure that we have that, and then the basics, you know, canned food, easy to cook meals, chargers are charged, and everyone has everything they need to keep their electronics going at the house.
Forecasters say the chill may continue for some days. Recovery is going to be slow. Some places are starting to dig out. Services are coming back, but it's still rough.
The New York City ferry is running once again and operating at 90% capacity. Buses and subways are also running normally, though I would encourage New Yorkers to budget some extra time on their commutes.
Officials warn the danger is not over yet. Ice and power outages are still a threat. From wrecked travel to massive outages and a rising death toll, this storm has left a mark. Authorities want people to play it safe, stay inside, and check on their neighbors. The country has got a long way to go before things are back to normal. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.